Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Thursday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there this morning and having a great start to your day, staying safe out there, and just having a great week so far. I know it's been a pretty good week for me. Work has been slow, so it just seems like the week has been crawling. But regardless, hope you guys are doing well out there. Got a lot to talk about this morning. We're going to break down what's going to happen weather-wise for today, as we always do. Today will be its own severe weather threats. A couple things have changed. So we'll certainly talk about that, and then the second half of the video we'll go to talking about what could potentially happen tomorrow. I'm not trying to hype anything up, but tomorrow looks to be one of those days, severe weather-wise. You know, I think we've had a couple moderate risk already this year. If not a couple, we've had one already. We've had a few enhanced risk, but there's a moderate risk up, a level 4 out of 5, and if there's any day that could go to high, it could potentially be tomorrow and high risk, but we're not going to call that yet. All the ingredients are there for a tornado outbreak. I'm not just gonna, lowball this or anything like that. This is looking serious. So we'll talk about what we do know. We're not gonna dive deep into the ingredients. We've been doing that over the last 48 hours. We'll do that again tonight, but we kind of already know that this is gonna be kind of a loaded situation. All the ingredients are gonna be there. So I want to quickly mention I have not had a chance to answer the comments from last night's video. Took some NyQuil last night. It wasn't feeling the best. Feeling okay this morning, and it just knocked me out. You guys know what NyQuil can do. It puts you in a sleep coma, but feeling good. Just felt a little under the weather as I fell asleep last night, but we're feeling pretty good this morning. But if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. Let's get rolling. Water vapor loop, it's coming. This is our system. This is the upper trough digging in, and then we're going to have pieces of energy that shoot across this boundary that's forming right in here. It's not really forming. It's already there, and it's basically kind of a road, an avenue, a street, if you will, for these storms to take this track right into here. This will dip a little bit further south and allow for a surface low to form and kind of develop and go like this. Therefore, it's going to be deepening, strengthening, and you're going to have a nasty environment that builds south of this low pressure right into this area right into here. So, sorry I don't have my clicker up, but we have flood watches up for everybody in the green. A lot of rain is going to fall in these areas from Oklahoma, eastern Oklahoma, all the way into the Ohio Valley. This is going to be a lot of rain. Some areas will get several inches of rain. Well, the weather advisory is up for some areas where snow has been falling. You've got some dense fog advisories. So not a whole lot going right now, but I would expect this map to get littered with all kinds of advisories, watches, and warnings here in the next 24 to 48 hours. So slight risk of severe storms. That has not changed for today. This extends from the hill country of Texas all the way now into northwest Arkansas, a very small section of southwest Missouri. Tornado threat has not increased, but it's stretched out. Basically, it's going all the way clear through Abilene Points southwest, all the way into almost the Paducah, Kentucky area, into southern sections of Illinois. It includes everybody in the green in between. So I think there's going to be, like I said, kind of a boundary, and there's going to be a lot of heavy rain that kind of takes this path. But anybody south of kind of this area of rain will have a chance to get a spin up from some of these like bottom feeder storms, if you will. And I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about by like bottom feeder storms here in a second. But winds, just a 5% risk of damaging winds. But hail, that'll be the big story today. There's a 15% risk of hail, but there's also a 10% risk of significant hail in these pretty much the same areas that we talked about last night, and reaching 2-inch diameter or larger in these regions. We're going to have some big hailstorms a little bit later this afternoon. There will be a flooding risk, guys. I mean, we have a moderate risk that has at least a 40% chance of flash flood guidance being met within 25 miles in any given location. The slight risk is a 15% risk, same criteria. Okay, so this will be kind of a story that's not talked about as much because of the severe weather, especially as we get into tomorrow, where we also have an even bigger moderate risk of flash flooding. But if you're in the Ohio Valley, portions of the Midwest, Mississippi Valley, flooding could potentially become a big deal. Let's just break it down region to region. Let's get this over with. And I'm not saying that because nobody else is important, but not a whole lot's going on in other regions of the country. But the Southeast today is going to be pretty quiet, very, very warm, very warm. Temperatures are going to rise very quickly. If you're chilly this morning, don't worry. Wait a few hours. It'll feel totally different out there as we get into about late morning. But we're getting into this afternoon. Not a whole lot going on. The ridge is building in. That's why you got energy flying from the southwest to the northeast and kind of rounding this ridge, if you will. We'll talk about these showers and storms here in a second. But the immediate southeast area, not a whole lot going on today. There really isn't. And then some moisture will eventually drift into Tennessee. Definitely has already drifted into Kentucky. And this will begin to set the stage in this area for some really bad weather as we get into Friday. The northeast today, some showers drifting around in New York State. Heavier rain down in southern Pennsylvania. Even some rain, maybe pockets of heavier rain. Maybe a rumble of thunder in northern West Virginia. And then some rain showers flying around in the northeast. But if you get about central Maine points north, this is snow falling, and it could be some heavy snow. Some areas could get over a half a foot of snow. Everywhere else, just some on and off showers. Some of these could be heavy. We'll kind of drift through New Jersey, the Delmarva area a little bit later this morning into the afternoon hours. And then even more moisture will kind of move through western New York State, even western Pennsylvania, Vermont, New Hampshire. It'll be kind of a rainy day. Most of everybody will see rain from this. And this will drift into southern New England a little bit later this evening, and then we get into the overnight hours, and then we could have maybe another area of rain. Well, not maybe, it's most likely that will drift out of Ohio into southern Pennsylvania, West Virginia. Just a rainy next 24 hours for just pretty much everybody. Snow up in Maine. If you're in the far two northern counties of Maine, you will certainly have appreciable snowfall. Several inches of snow could fall, and then maybe just a couple inches of snow here in central to north central Maine. We move to the south central U.S. today. Active day today. We're moving here in time. We get to about, I would say it's about lunchtime at this point. Nothing really going on. But then quickly storms start to fire up as we're getting into about 3 p.m. Anywhere Tulsa, Oklahoma City, down here near the Red River, storms are firing up, and immediately you see this one nasty looking one right here just outside of maybe in and around the Norman area. We'll get closer. We'll zoom in here in a second for you folks. And then, the bigger story, the bigger change with this is that kind of more significant storms, stronger storms look to drift into southern Missouri. So we're going to have a chance of strong to severe storms into southern Missouri also. So please be aware of that. And a tornado threat. And this is what I'm talking about with the boundary. You got a lot of heavy rain right into here, but this little boundary where basically you got a lot of ingredients building into this area right into here, you could have some of these storms that could feed into the energy that's building into this area. So you could have a quick spin up and some of these southerly flanked storms right into here. You could. And then even more storms form behind this. I mean, this is getting into about midnight tonight. And then some nasty storms form. Finally, some storms form down here deep into the hill country of Texas with a developing low pressure. And do not let your guard down tonight in central Texas. Most of the day will probably be quiet. When we get into the nighttime hours, it could get quite active. And then the low pressure begins to develop here. And then this is when it's game on a little bit further east. But a little bit closer to you folks in Texas, this is the storm I'll watch out for Oklahoma, for the Oklahoma area. I mean, this will be, 5, 6 p.m. This could be a big storm right here. Develops, and then more storms develop along the Red River here, just north of Wichita Falls. And then, bang, they explode right here again into this region. We'll get a little bit further northeast. And please don't let your guard down for these storms up here too. But you're going to have hail in these storms. This is around 9 p.m. I don't think it's going to be like a one and done situation. Basically we'll take it back from the beginning. Storms form, rounds of significant storms blow through, and then even more rounds develop. But, you're going to have a very slow crawling cold front that's sagging to the southeast that, it's going to allow for the continuation of not just storms, but rain in these areas. And that's why, if you switch it to, the Ohio Valley and kind of look at this from more of a broader look. I mean, you got rain. This is, about 11 p.m. tonight. You got rain stretching from Oklahoma all the way to West Virginia. And not just rain, but it's a massive, somewhat skinny corridor, very heavy rain falling, storms. Okay, so it's just a long, strung out area of storms. And some of these could be strong too, even into southern Ohio, West Virginia, a little bit later tonight. All right, so the north central U.S., pretty quiet. Some lingering snow showers are possible. But, you know, we get into this evening and not a whole lot going on, but then we'll watch some shower and storm activity get somewhat north into Indiana and Illinois. We'll see how far north it gets, but from the northern sections of the Midwest and the Ohio Valley points north, you'll escape the rain. It'll stay dry for the most part and for the next 24 hours. So everybody except the areas of the southern kind of Midwest regions and the Ohio Valley will stay relatively calm. Temperatures today, they warm up drastically in the southeast as the ridge really builds in. Even these areas where you see the 70s, it'll be into the 80s. Like, for example, you got the 70s in the North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. I think you're going to get into the 80s. HRRR model sometimes underdoes these temperatures. Sometimes they overdo them, but it's going to be warm. But you can tell what the boundary is, right? I keep talking boundary. Boundary is a separation between, you know, moisture and dry air, but also warm temperatures and cool temperatures. So that is the case. You know, southern sections of Missouri will hit 80 degrees today. You get up to Columbia, Missouri, points north, 40s. Okay, so a big boundary setting up right in here, warm south, southeast, and east of the boundary. So the big day is tomorrow. There is a moderate risk of severe storms for tomorrow in the red area. It includes all the cities you see in your map on the screen right now, wherever you're watching it. And I mean, listen, it's going to be a big day. Unfortunately, it looks like all the ingredients are really coming together. It really does. I'm not trying to the hype alarm or anything like that, or horn or whatever, but this looks significant. It really does. There's always going to be some kind of fail mode, which we always pull for this not to come together and materialize, but this looks to be a big deal. And to me, it looks like these severe storms will really become their worst right as the sun is setting and onward. But we're going to have some nasty weather before the sun sets. I'll show you what I mean here in a second. But moderate risk in the red, enhanced risk in the orange. I mentioned it last night. I'm going to show you guys some love up here too. That there's going to be a big damaging wind threat up here, but there's also going to be a tornado risk. Okay, and then the slight is in the yellow. Look at this and get a little bit closer so you can actually see the risk area. We have our first 15% risk of a tornado up of the year. So you have a 15% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in any given location. But you also have a hatch risk, which is a 10% risk of a strong tornado, an EF2 or higher. This is a huge 15% risk area. All right, an even bigger 10% risk area. Okay, same criteria in the 10% risk area. 10% risk of a tornado, also a 10% risk of a significant tornado. And then you got the 5% risk around that. Damaging winds, going to be a big story. Okay, it's a little bit further north, but it's for even a bigger area. 30% risk of 30% chance of damaging winds, a 10% risk of significant winds, pushing 65 knots or higher. That's almost up to hurricane force winds, and we will have some winds and some of these storms that will push 70 to 80 miles per hour. So I really favor this area up here more for this, because I think we're going to have more of a linear look up here, where a nasty line of storms will really get going into this region. I would really watch out northeast Arkansas for this, western Tennessee, including Memphis, even up into the Paducah area for nasty weather. Hail threat, not going to be as big of a deal normally in these setups. I mean, you're going to get hail in any kind of supercell that forms. But normally with these setups, you know, the dry and cool air aloft is lagging behind, but you have enough for hail, certainly. So we look at the HRRR model. What I want to go on and let you know is there's already going to be storms ongoing in areas of eastern Oklahoma, northeast Texas, especially northern to western Arkansas, okay? And there will already be a severe weather threat ongoing, okay? You already got a nasty line of storms working their way through. You got a strengthening low-level jet, a deepening low pressure, strengthening low pressure. And, I mean, these are blasting through. You're getting into about 10 p.m. at this point. Already a line of storms making their way through western Tennessee, Kentucky, okay? They might diminish, okay, but rain will remain. And then I'll stop it right here. This is the big question mark for you northern areas. You're going to have a lot of morning storms, a lot of morning convection. how much does the atmosphere recover up here? Now, we know it's going to recover. It's going to be fine down here, even in the morning hours, because you're not going to have any storm activity really in the morning hours. But how much does it recover up here ahead of this, the cold front kind of driven convection? That's going to be a big question. The latest HRRR models say, y'all clear out, and we have to watch. We're getting into about 5, 6 p.m. We have to watch this area because this storm, these storms right here will have some fuel if this builds up into this area to kind of the fuel off of. But you look down here in Louisiana, here come these storms. I know it's way at the bottom of your screen, but they already have that kidney bean look where they're hooking. That tells me that they're already feeding off that low-level jet. There's already all the other thermodynamics in play. We don't even have to, the storms don't even have to worry about that. That is an ingredient that is set in stone. It's going to happen. But when does this, low-level jet really maximize? But, I mean, we're getting into 6, 7 p.m., and then this is when a damaging line of storms can really get going in Arkansas. But all these storms down here will be semi-discrete in nature. Some of them will be flat-out discrete. And when I say discrete, I mean kind of off in their own, kind of taking advantage of the environment when no other storms to bother them. Semi-discrete, you got a little bit of a connection, kind of like these storms. But all these can be rotating, guys. And at this point, we're getting to 7 p.m. We're kind of knocking on the door of the sun setting. And I'm telling you, you stop it right here. It's around 8 p.m. Central Time. And these storms south and southwest of Memphis, they look very dangerous. And this is a nasty line of storms with the potential for embedded tornadoes all the way up here into southern Illinois, southeast Missouri. But, I mean, you got these little hooks right here. I'm telling you, please be careful in these areas. We're getting into about 9 p.m. Nasty line of storms moves through Memphis. And we still got an ongoing severe weather threat as we're getting into 10 p.m. Now, of course, just like with any severe weather threat, this will kind of start to congeal into a line of storms. But I'm telling you, we're getting into about 11 p.m. We're still dealing with nasty weather. And kind of central to north central and even northern Mississippi all the way up into, southern Indiana. Okay? So please don't think that just because we're getting to the nighttime hours that the tornado threat just goes away. It remains. It starts to, somewhat go down, lessen. But these are some nasty looking storms, guys, in these areas. It's impossible to know if your town's going to get hit by a tornado. I love the guy because he constantly comments and watches my content, and I appreciate it. But, I think I got one person that's always asking if one particular city is going to get any tornadoes in Mississippi. And I don't know that answer. I wish I did. If we knew that answer, we could save many lives, right? We could do a lot of things to prevent things from happening or lives to be lost and injuries. But in this case, I don't. We can't predict weather like that. Maybe one day we can. But I think weather is always going to be unpredictable, guys. It really is. So this is going to be the area to watch. This is the worrisome area, and it has that look to it already. So there's going to be a lot of rain that's going to fall. A lot of rain. Moderate risk of flooding occurring within this red area. There's a 40% chance of flooding occurring within 25 miles in any given location in this red area. 15% risk in the yellow area. And if we look at rain over the next, this is all the way through about Saturday evening. So, I mean, just between now and the next, 48 to 72 hours, I mean, you got a corridor of anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rain stretching from Arkansas, southern Oklahoma, all the way into areas of Pennsylvania. So a lot of rain is going to fall in these regions. So please be aware of that also. Outside of this severe weather threat, the flooding threat cannot be ignored because there's some areas that's going to get storm after storm. We call that training of storms. It's literally like a train that goes over the same areas. So please be aware of that, guys. That's all I got. I'll have you another update tonight. If you notice the lack of energy, I'm just a little groggy from waking up and kind of jumping right into this video. Didn't really have any time to really get going this morning. But God bless all y'all. Stay safe today in Texas, Oklahoma, and portions of Missouri and Arkansas. But the big day is tomorrow. Please make the preparations you need. I expect schools to get canceled in certain areas of the Deep South. But please be aware of severe weather, okay? God bless all y'all. I'll be with y'all this evening.